article from DoSomething.org points out that, surpassing even depression, anxiety is the most common form of mental illness in the United States. It is estimated that approximately 10% of teens and 40% of adults suffer from some form of anxiety, one of these being social anxiety. Social anxiety affects the world but can often originate in high school. In order to discuss today's topic, I have done vast amounts of research with many trustworthy and reliable websites. A few points that I will cover in my speech are the basics of social anxiety, the different risks that can develop the disorder, and how to cope or help somebody with social anxiety. With the information provided, I hope you as today's audience will better understand and how social anxiety, despite being a small part of general anxiety, has a huge impact on people around the world. The basics of social anxiety can easily be found with a Google search, but each website varies and changes what it all is. However, it has multiple points to define it. First of all, social anxiety is a fear of situations within a social group. There are two types. One where you suffer social anxiety within a large group, such as the speech I'm giving today. Another one is being put on the spot, where you're right in the center of attention. The symptoms and risks can vary between person to person with social anxiety, but all in all, when faced with a social situation, the person may suffer physically and or mentally. Physically, they may shake, sweat, or have a shortness of breath. Mentally, the train of thought or their emotions may be affected, and it might affect their whole day. The risk can come from the environment, such as school or at home. I'll explain this further or later on in my speech. These effects of social anxiety can be either lessened or cured completely with a few common treatments, but the person must first be properly diagnosed. The diagnosis is often having panic attacks around more than just adults, and it must persist for 6 months. A few treatments are behavioral, where you learn from a therapist how to cope with social anxiety, and pharmacological treatment is when you have to take a medication in order to lessen the effects of social anxiety. Knowing what the basics of social anxiety are just one detail to what it is as a whole. Another part is the specifics on how people can be put at risk. With social anxiety, the first risk could already make up your body. Oftentimes, social anxiety will develop at childhood or early adolescence. Sometimes genetics may be involved, which can be like parents, siblings, or first cousins, and influence is often estimated to be 30 to 40%. And also, certain medical diseases can be a factor, such as asthma or heart disease. Besides physical reasons, other mental disorders can go hand in hand with social anxiety. Certain disorders can be general anxiety, where you worry about everything, panic disorder, where the bursts of terror form such as stress, and other certain phobias, such as anthropophobia, which is the fear of humans or people. Substance abuse can also be a factor. So drugs and alcohol can heighten the symptoms of social anxiety. And life experience, such as abuse, separation of or from parents, and difficulties at school can also be a factor into risking someone for social anxiety. All these risks can affect a person's life as they get older, such as educational achievement. The person may not want to go to school because they do not want to deal with social situations, and they may want to leave early, which will give them poor qualifications later on in life. Social life can be affected, where they may have difficulty relationships or might not even have any at all. Also, everyday activities can be a challenge, such as going to the store or ordering at a restaurant. Despite all of this, you or someone you know does not have to suffer alone. Many coping skills are provided by medical websites, and sometimes a good friend can help as well. There are many ways to cope with social anxiety. If you are a person with this disorder, one of these ways are a set of steps when panic sets in. Step 1 is taking deep breaths, where it's in through the nose, you hold it for a while, and then you let it out through your mouth. Do this as many times as necessary. The next step is, once your head is clear, challenge the negative thoughts that you're having with positive thoughts. So for example, today's speech, you may be thinking that I'm so nervous that people notice that I'm going to be nervous. But then you can think opposite of that and say, everyone could be just as nervous as you are. The third step is to focus on your surroundings as sort of a distraction. Focus in on the moment. However, most likely, you may simply be the bystander of all this, or maybe a friend or relative of someone with social anxiety. Yet, there are ways to help out and show you care. First of all, which is pretty easy, is to be friendly and not critical of the person. Oftentimes, a person with social anxiety craves for a friendship, but they may be too anxious or nervous to actually maintain one. Also, the person is already critical of themselves, so why add to the problem? Also, reading social anxiety can be a really huge help, so you understand perfectly to know what they are going through. Also, helping them seek help is a good way to help, but do not force them into that. It may want them to back away from ever getting any help. Also, be a considerate listener. Sometimes people with social anxiety may not want to open up right away, but there may be a moment where they finally want to tell you about their anxiety, but shutting them out is not the way to do it. Social anxiety is not a titanium barrier preventing you from coping with your anxiety or helping someone with it. It is a series of hurdles that need to be leapt over, and most likely, it'll take time to get over them all. Yet, how does this all sum up? First of all, social anxiety is a mental disorder where it happens during social interactions. Second, risk can be from body, mind, or environment and can have huge effects later on in life. The third way is that there are ways you can cope with social anxiety or how you can help. With the information provided, I hope you, as an individual, now better understand how social anxiety, despite being a small part of general anxiety, has a huge impact on people around the world. Pressure from others is already an issue in our world, and more specifically, our school today. So trying to appreciate someone for who they are as a person can help prevent social anxiety.